Welcome to the Fat Runner channel. My name is Colin. I am the Fat Runner. Just over 2 years ago, I used to look like this. Then I started running, and now I look like this. Today's video is about how I am going to calculate what my goal pace is going to be for Chelmsford Marathon in just over 15 weeks. And hopefully you can use these tips to help you work out the pace for your next marathon. So before we get into how I'm going to calculate it, probably best to share my marathon experience with you. So as you probably know from the intro, I started running just over 2 years ago, May 2020. It's now July, 1st of July 2022. I have done marathon distance once. I did it last October. I did the virtual London Marathon. So that was not an official one, using Garmin GPS. It took me 5 hours 22 minutes. The thing with that is I didn't train particularly strenuously for it. I did the long runs, I did up to a 20-mile run, but other than that I was generally doing maybe a couple of 5k runs a week on top of that. No speed work, and I wasn't doing any pacing in my long runs at all. I was just literally just doing the distance by hook or by crook. And this time I'm planning on doing a proper training plan, tempo runs, race pace, in with the long runs, etc. So I think 5 hours 22 minutes was, even at the time I was disappointed with that time, and I know what I'm going to do differently this time to absolutely smash my previous one. And this one is of course going to be a proper measured course, aid stations, etc. Whereas before I was carrying loads of water on me, so it should be easier. So let's get into the different calculation methods. So how do you work out what pace you're going to do your marathon at? Well, there's several ways, but one of the reasons I'm doing this video is because I spoke to someone recently at a park run who's run a few marathons, and I had a conversation about my goals for Chelmsford, and he was very, let's say, pessimistic. He thought that based on my current half marathon PB of 1:58.42, I would be looking at doing Chelmsford in around 4 hours 40 minutes. Now, that sounded like a lot to me. That's like, that's double the distance plus about 25% almost. So I did a bit of research myself, because I went away from that conversation feeling quite deflated, and then I thought to myself, why am I taking one person's opinion based on nothing other than his own experience, which is what it was. His PB was around 1:46 for a half, and he's not yet been able to hit sub 4:30 in a marathon. So because obviously he can't do it, that meant I couldn't do it. And my problem is I've listened to people like that all through my life, and yeah, he wasn't being horrible, he was trying to be helpful, but at the end of the day there's a lot of factors there that we're not thinking about. First of all, he's nearly 10 years older than me, so that makes a difference. Secondly, what training has he done? How many miles a week is he doing? Was he doing any strength training? Was he doing any speed work in his long runs, you know, this amount of miles at race pace, tempo pace, etc.? Or was he just doing a long run, easy, and getting the distance? All of these things are so important. So I decided to completely ignore his advice and have a look at some more, say, scientific ideas. I came up with effectively 3 ways that I could have a bit more of a quantifiable approach to my training. So the first one is looking at my Garmin watch. Garmin has race predictions based on your VO2 max. So let's have a quick look at that, shall we, and see what that's going to tell me. So one method is looking at your Garmin, because your Garmin gives you race prediction based on your VO2 max score. So mine is 47, excellent, apparently. Again, you have to take this with a pinch of salt. It's not that accurate, nowhere near as accurate as if you've got a heart rate monitor, and even more accurate is actually having a proper VO2 max test in a lab. So let's see what Garmin reckons my estimated race times are. So race predictor then, 22:11 for a 5k, 1:41:57 for a half, and 3:31:54 for a marathon. Yeah, no thanks. That's way off. That's much more I'm capable of. That half time is about 17 minutes faster than my current PB. There is no way in hell I will be using these predictors to do anything at this moment in time. Again, VO2 max is just one part of it. It doesn't take into account how long you've been running, weight, or anything like that. So, yep, I'm gonna completely ignore that. I'm gonna very quickly disregard this method. So that's the first method. Probably not the best, but I thought I'd start with that one. The second one is the Jack Daniels calculator. Now, 2 years ago, if you'd asked me about the Jack Daniels calculator, I'd assume it would tell me how many shots of whiskey I could have before I passed out. Answer to that, not many. But obviously, I've changed since then, and now I know Jack Daniels is I don't know a lot about him, to be honest. I probably should look him up, probably, but he is a running coach, and this calculator is used a lot by people. So in short, this calculator, you put in a race time and it will tell you what your training zones and speeds should be for each different thing, like easy, race pace, interval pace, etc., and also what your equivalent race time could be over different distances. Now, of course, this also begs the question, what races do you use? How reliable is it to compare a 5k time to a marathon time? And that's a good question. So I'd say, really, personally, I think you want to be looking at a race distance, probably the closer the race distance the better, to your one you're looking at, and also more recent races, and in fact races in similar conditions. So if it's a really hilly course and you're doing a flat course, is it best to compare those race times? Vice versa. If one was running early autumn, one was running middle of summer, that's going to be different as well. So let's have a look at the calculator, put in a couple of race times and see what we think. So this is the Jack Daniels V.Dot running calculator. The link is up the top there, but I will put a link in the description as well. And what this does effectively is you type in a race result and it will then tell you what your sort of equivalent target pace could potentially be for other distances. So what we'll do is we'll look at my half marathon distance first of all. So we'll go half marathon. And rather than go for my last half marathon, because that was quite difficult circumstances, I'm going to do my PB, which is 1 hour, 58 minutes and 42 seconds. So you type that in there, you then click calculate. So that shows what the pace was for my half marathon PB. And this is what we're looking for, so the equivalent. So according to this, based on that half marathon PB of 1:58:42, I could run a marathon in 4:05:18, so that's 9.21 minute mile pace, or 5:49 kilometer pace. And a 5k time would be 25:49, which my 5k time is actually lower than that. It's 24:52. So again, that kind of tracks really. 10k 53:37, that's showing, and I think my PB is around 53 something. So that's, again, that's pretty spot on really. So you're looking at 4:05 for a marathon time there. And let's quickly see what my 5k PB comes up as. So yeah, 5 kilometers. So my 5k PB is currently 24:50. And it's not an official 5k PB. Okay, so on that then, it's saying that 3:56, which, yeah, 9:01 minute mile pace, which is actually quicker than my half marathon PB. So yeah, that seems a bit optimistic to me. So I'm not going to be looking at that. Thank you very much. So that's the Jack Daniels method. So that is the Jack Daniels calculator. Last up, we've got the Jeff Galloway Golden Mile. Now, Jeff Galloway is a famous runner and coach, and he came up with the, it's quite groundbreaking at the time, the run-walk method, saying that, you know, you're better off training by doing running, some intervals of walking, then running again, and that became known as Jeffing. Bit of trivia for you. I'm sure most of you probably knew that already, but if you didn't, you're welcome. So he has a Golden Mile chart. The idea is that you run a mile at probably 90% pace, so not flat out until you puke, but pretty hard effort. So I did that recently. My fast mile pace was 7:34. It wasn't an officially measured mile, it was on my Garmin, so it's not 100% accurate, and it was a flipping hot day. Yeah, 7:34. So let's have a look at his Golden Mile chart, see what that tells us. Now this is the Jeff Galloway Magic Mile method. That's him there in the green top. So there's loads of stuff on his website, but this is the Magic Mile calculator. So I ran a Magic Mile a few weeks ago. Bear in mind it was a hot day. We'll go, that was 7 minutes and 34 seconds. It's my fastest mile. I've tapped that in. That's giving me 5k finish time of 25:13, which not a million miles off what I can do. I'm a bit quicker than that, and this is showing marathon pace finish time of 4:17:54, and it's showing a half marathon finish time of 1:58:2. So as you know, I can do a half marathon slightly quicker than that. So I think this is 4:17 is a bit pessimistic maybe. So I would probably be looking at least sub 4:15. So this method I'm not overly convinced on. Sorry Jeff, I think I will go with Jack on this one over you. So which method am I going to choose? Well, Garmin, thanks but no thanks. I think you'll have way too much faith in me, and as far as I'm aware those predictions are purely based on VO2 max and age, nothing to do with weight, previous race performance, etc. So jog on, Sunny Jim. Jeff Galloway, thanks but no thanks. I think you're a bit too pessimistic, and also that fast mile I did was in really hot weather, so that's a big factor as well. So that leaves Mr. Jack Daniels, and I've decided I'm going to use the Chelmsford half marathon time as the base, because that race was done in March. My marathon's going to be in October, similar weather conditions hopefully. The course will be fairly similar, both in Chelmsford. Now, the Chelmsford Marathon I'm doing is part of an event called Chelmsford Half Marathon and Marathon, whereas the one I did in March was Chelmsford 5k, 10k and half. They are two different events run by different companies that both have a half option in them. And I don't know exactly how different the courses are, but considering they're based in the same city, they can't be that much different. So again, like for like basis is going to be better for Chelmsford rather than Colchester where it's hot weather and harder course. So again, this is not about me trying to fudge things to make me look better. This is about what's going to be the most accurate. So I can't remember exactly what the time was that the race predictor said. So 4:06 something, wasn't it? So I'm going to train for 4:10, 4 hours 10 minutes for a marathon. Gives me a little bit of wiggle room. It's a stretching target, not too easy, it's not too hard. So that's what I'm going to go for. And I will do maybe about 7-8 weeks into the training, I will do a half marathon, maybe not an actual race. I might just do a time trial around my local area, because as I said before, it can be tough to book races in, really, because I want to spend time at the weekend with my family and they're not really interested in hanging around for 2-3 hours waiting for me to finish a race, so I only then go straight home because I need a shower. So we'll probably just do a time trial in the morning somewhere, and I'll have a look at that and see where I am, and if I'm absolutely bossing it, I will reduce the time, maybe go for a 4:05, but to be honest, I think I might just be better off sticking with 4:10. It's only my second ever marathon, and I've got plenty of years ahead of me to bring that time down before old age comes the other way. So that's it, folks. That is my thought process behind how I'm gonna choose my goal pace for my next marathon. Hope you found it useful, and hope it's given you some ideas on what to do. That's at the end of the day, you need to base your goals on you, not on what other people tell you that they can do, because what other people can and can't do doesn't have a lot of bearing on what you can and can't do. So if you want to know how I get on, I'm going to be doing a weekly update of my training, and in 15 weeks time there'll be a race video showing how I got on. So if you want to know, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. If you're training for a marathon, let me know what marathon it is, when it is, what time you're going for, and how you've come to that estimation, because I'd really like to know. And let me know what you think about my thought process. Do you agree? Do you think I'm underselling myself? Am I overconfident? Who knows? But all that will happen on the day, I'll either do it or I won't. But the main thing is, I'll have fun, give it a damn good go. Alright, till next time, guys. Take care, keep on running.